Yep, Rain is Deaf is on the fucking podcast. We bring an amazing point about genres and listeners and how listeners interpret and decide the sound that is pushed and put out by the artist. We also speak on creative entrepreneurship and being an independent creator in this day and age. We also go into what the muse is, what is that, and how it impacts everyday people. Not just creators, but any type of person, artist, anybody who does shit, The muse is in there. It's there. We're talking about that on this episode. The muse definitely was with us as we were fucking doing this episode. But yeah, enjoy this new episode of Pollute Your Soul. Welcome to the podcast. You're on Pollute Your Soul. We're the rainisdeaf. And he just brought up this amazing point. This is an artist from the Pacific Northwest. Let's just say that region, because he's lived in multiple places out there. And this is an artist, and he kind of told me that genres are made up by listeners. Now, Rain, what you think of that? What do you mean by that?
Well, I feel like there's definitely been cases where obviously music's made intentionally towards a sound, but most of the time I don't think people are thinking about what they're really making. Especially if you look at the people that I guess innovate new sounds or kind of push new sounds, even if they didn't make it, the people that are really pushing new sounds, they're never really putting the labels to it. It's always websites like Rate Your Music, or even back in the day, it was just anyone journalists that would kind of. And then fans really were the ones that were coming up with terms. And then those super fans or whatever, the super listeners that kind of talk for artists sometimes. It's that type of thing.
They want to claim, I mean, sometimes, people do coin the term, but most of the time it's they've already been making the music. I mean, I don't even think the people that made Witch House kind of called it that.
No, they were just influenced by other music, and then obviously they couldn't make that music because you can't make the exact same thing, and they had still had original sound, so that's just kind of a fusion of their influences, and that's really what keeps, I think, music going, and what it'll never stop because of the influence part.
And a lot of genres just become so webbed out that they eventually circle back and become the same fucking thing. It's kind of
that. And even in the same track, you'll notice so many different, I don't know, people, because that's the thing. Usually, so when you hear tracks, for example, and you pick out influences from other things that obviously there's going to be other influences in there that you don't know. So people that are labeling a track for example, Xavier So Bass, people trying to call that jerk music because of the snare. That doesn't correlate because there's too many other influences to other things, so it's not really jerk music. You know what I mean? It's not like Vixen or New Boys or any of that Young Sam Ice shit. It's very different. So I wouldn't call it jerk. You know what I mean? There's too many people don't put into consideration. They don't know everything that's going into the sound influence wise. So to me, it's there's no point in trying to worry about. You just hear it, and if you like it, hell yeah.
I just call it rap music, or just underground rap music, or just based music. Sometimes if shit I can't describe it, I say Acid Soldier is just bass music, or Christ Dellinger he just makes bass music. It's not even a genre. It's just it is what it is. Christ Dellinger is based, so
That's that shit with Chris though. I can't even I don't know. There's so many artists I've seen over the years. I mean, I've been making music for 11 years now, and I've paid attention to, I guess, the underground rap, trap, whatever you want to call it, for just about that whole time. Not the full time, but just about. And I've seen so many people that kind of just ride every single wave, but then force themselves into anyone that's popping, and it just makes it hard to bump so many people in that scene anymore. I mean, there's definitely the staples I clip to, but it's rare that I find newer people that I'm really inspired by. I don't know, I remember, you hear it a lot, but it's true, years ago, scrolling through the SoundCloud feed and shit, you'd get so many different types of sounds. But I feel like as these whatever scenes grow, you just kind of get a lot more of people learning how to make music and then trying to replicate that sound as a way to understand what they're trying to do and what they want to do later. So you get this like, but then there's people that just like get that technical skill, but still, I guess, because I don't inherently think it's wrong to ride like what sounds cool. Because like, say you find a new sound, you get on the wave. It's like, yeah, you want to make it because you're inspired, but it's like, I guess the way certain people go about it that rubs me wrong when I see them over the years kind of like ditch and also change their entire personality.
Yeah.
Like I mean, no shame to Chris Dillinger, but that's what I've seen with that dude for like 2 or 3 scenes now. So it's just like hard for me to even, it's just kind of silly shit to me, you know?
I know somebody else who used to be like heavy like emo rap, was like the biggest Wicca Phase Eternal Springs fan, and now he does like Rage Ken Carson music. And it's
Exactly.
like what are we doing here? Like I remember like years ago when you were on this show, like, yo, like I love, Lil Peep and all this shit, and it's like, come on, like I know
See, like,
what we're doing here.
I get it because I get, so say you're learning how to make music and you get inspired by some artists and you like make some of the similar shit to like get a grasp because it influences you and you like, that's what like draws you to it. But I did that with like Crystal Castles and shit back in the day, but I never released it. You know what I mean? I wasn't trying to make it mine. Like that's where I like have a problem, I guess, where it's like I make shit like that all the time just to see if I could, but like I don't run with it like it's my thing, I guess.
I've actually had multiple people come on the show and say like, I don't think anybody out here doing this rap rock thing like me, bro. And I'm
That's
just like,
everyone says that. And here, okay, can I make a point on this real quick?
make
Because
a
I've been talking
point.
about this. All right, so tell me why. And this is not specific to like hardcore kids or any of like that fusion. This is like many pockets of what I'll call alternative kids, but there's so many that all wear the same things and consume the same media and all talk to the same types of people and go to the same shops and do the, it's like, how do you not, you guys are so like fed up on with like whatever you consider to be normal that you want to be avoidant of that just to create this other carbon copy of a new thing, a new archetype. And there's like, if you label yourself with other people, that's great, you want to feel a community, whatever, but like shit like that is where that type of mentality comes from. And it's like you think you're different, but do you not see everything around you? There's a little algorithm for you, dedicated for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
it's
that's,
like it's
you
not
aren't.
real. It's a whole bubble that the algorithm kind of puts you in to make you think everybody is like you, but really like nobody fucking cares and nobody's like you. Like I mean,
You
sometimes
can tell in people's speech, in people's speech, when they say like, "Oh, Instagram is this," you get this type of content, and it's like that's your algorithm. Like you're just exposing your own like weird fucking. You know what I mean? Like it's not just. I don't know. People will say some crazy shit about like Twitter too, for example, and like yeah, I see crazy shit, but some of the stuff that I hear people complaining about that they get in their feed, I'm just like, you have to, you got to be looking at something weird. I don't know what to tell you. Like that's. It's very
yeah.
curated. I don't think people really understand how algorithms work either. But I mean, it makes sense because they let them influence them so much. Like Instagram stories too. Oh my god, I'm kind of old headed with all that shit, honestly. But
Yeah. Like, why am I getting so much weird porn ads or
it's like, what do you
followed
think?
by porn stars? And it's like, maybe it's because you're looking at porn. I mean, that's why I get followed on Twitter by like porn stars, like fake, you know what I mean? Like the scammer account. It's like, because, fucking, I use Twitter to watch porn every now and then. I'm not going to lie to you right now.
Hey, look, if you're being honest, I respect it. There you go. Do your thing,
like,
bro. It's not for me, but
yeah. I mean, this is what I say about Twitter though, is it's like for two things. It's filled with angry people and pornography. That's all Twitter is at this point. Angry people and pornography. I mean, as far as I know, I don't. It was toxic before and it's toxic now. I just do it to fuck with people sometimes. Like sometimes people will post funny shit and I'll just like retweet it. Like I don't know. Like Reptilian God Mana posted a meme and I was like, fuck it. I'll repost this shit. It's funny. But
yeah,
most
I
of the
feel like
time,
that's how a
fuck
lot
that
of people
shit.
would do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think like there's a good artist community like not like music, but art, like graphic art. Like there's really good artist communities on that. Like a lot of that. I like using it for that, and then like, but honestly, I'm mostly on socials to just promote like music and like my shit, and like send
Network.
links to avoid. Not
Yeah.
even network, because like I don't know. I remember a few years ago, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna like I'm gonna find some like crowd to run with and all that and network. No, I'm not really built for that. I don't care about doing that. I've seen too many, like a lot of my own inspirations never chased any of that. A lot of my inspirations never like were concerned with doing that, and it still came to them. They still got what they deserved. So the way I see it, if I just keep doing what I feel I should and just keep doing my A/B routines,
Yeah.
it'd be good. I
No,
mean, I showed face recently at a show and got booked, and now I'm playing at the end of the month. People, and I was like hidden because people don't know where I'm at most of the time, because I don't really hang out with people. But
So, how did this opportunity come about?
what, getting booked?
Yeah.
I pulled up to a show and they was like, "Oh, I didn't even know you was in the state," and I was like, "Yep, I don't. I be hiding," and they were like, "Fuck, you want to play something?" And I was like, "Damn right." And so, yeah, and
That's good.
then this other person was booking me for something because we were supposed to do something before, but I guess the venue fell through or some shit. So we're gonna do a Renegade. But I'm gonna start playing shows again soon. Kind of exciting because I took a break for a minute.
So, like, when you do, I don't know much about the whole electronic live music. Like I've gone to shows and see producers like pull out but like, how did you learn that and start like learn how to produce live, using all that shit? Like, what do you use? How'd you learn it? Like, kind of go into that.
Yeah, basically. So I've played a few different types of sets. I've never been able to get like a full hardware gear setup because I just don't have the money for it. That's a whole other thing. But mostly I would spin like my demos and have them in stems and then play those through the DJ board and just like mute different ones. But since I always run it through my computer, basically I'm running the DJ and I have my DAW open at the same time. And there's been times where I did like an FL Studio set. Um, Figuring that out was just as simple as like when I make beats, like sitting here, the beat I made before this, uh, I'd kind of just build this loop and like have a ton of layers and then just mute different ones as different sections. And that's kind of what I do live too. So it's just like on the mixer, there's a bunch of inserts of, stems, patterns, and I just mute them and fuck with the effects, sliders, all that. Um, there was
Yeah.
one time I played a set with a Casio keyboard, like just literally just that, and like looped it. It was kind of funny. It was mostly just like C4 1/8 type beat. I'm just like literally playing piano, like I don't know, kind of whatever I can play on. I'd like to I have an ideal hardware setup, but it's just a matter of like getting somewhere set up and then getting those things. But I'm, mostly good off the laptop or computer or whatever I got access to.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, it's good to know how to like manage your resources and just kind of do what you can, bro. Like, and most of the time, people will be generous and just like let you use their shit. At shit. I don't know. I don't know. I don't really know.
Yeah, no, exactly that though. Like, especially with gear, like I don't own gear myself, but I get to like play on all my friends' gear when I see them. They let me borrow gear. Like, homie Ella let me borrow the TD3, So it's like I'm okay. It's kind of like how, um, I don't know. Say you're with a bunch of people that like don't fucking have to worry about shit, and like they have a car they don't even use, and they're just like, here, you want to use this when you need it, you go to the store or something, like it. That's kind of
Yeah.
how I feel like a lot of artists are, especially electronic artists with gear, and also they'll like trade it to each other when they all need money, like it goes in
Yeah.
like circles of the thing. Like I love that shit. I don't know, it's cool.
Yeah. Or I mean, you look at your most recent project. I mean, what's literally the title? Like, you made it on your friend's laptop. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
prime example.
yeah, yeah. You gotta work with what you got, and like I think I've been doing that my whole life. Like when I first started making beats, on it was on the ground on my desktop, and I'd have to like drag this 100-foot Ethernet cable from my stepdad's room when he'd go to work so I could like download samples. But then most of it, when I really started learning, was on this like Toshiba laptop, and fucking monitor was coming off the hinge and like busted up, and I was using this like little stolen Bluetooth speaker, like, but you know that shit worked, and like by the time I was like 15, 16, I was like actually selling beats, so it helped. You know, you could really make anything off anything. That's why people like are be so like, oh, they be doing shit off their phone. Like, yeah, bro, people have been doing shit off their phone and iPad for like almost a decade, almost.
Yeah, like that's how I with those apps with the fucking the little pads and stuff, like they were
The
you
sequencers
can
and
make
shit. Yeah,
dubstep beats. And I remember like
yeah.
fucking playing around with it when I was like 8 or 9 years old, and then eventually it's like a couple years later, you get what was I using? It was Soundtrap.
Yes.
It was an app like for hold on, let me look this shit up. But Sound Trap, it was like I was yes, yeah, free music online, and it had it so it had like a bunch of drum loops and shit like that. And I was at a film camp, like we were making films at this art school. I was 13, listening to a bunch of X, and me and this kid made the soundtrack to the. This was like 2017. I was 13, and we made the soundtrack for this fucking short film, and it was the shittiest. But it nobody cared. It was like we did what we could. It probably sounded okay for
Yeah.
like a. It was a lot
Just
of
having
fun.
fun.
You don't need the most like expensive equipment, bro. Just the whole phone thing, like. People are blowing up with songs on their phone. I say eventually learn the
Bro,
professional way to do it, but if you start off, just fucking do what you can, bro.
not even like it'll be like advanced users that just like are out and about and don't like have access to the computer. Like that person, that producer 444 Jet, like they be making hella hits off their fucking FL mobile off their phone.
Yeah.
Like there's hella people. There's some like there was Witch House artists doing that. I mean, there's still people I know that use like GarageBand and shit like that. It's crazy.
Yeah, FL Studio Mobile. I know some people that are like, oh my, they just make some masterpieces off it. Like they got this one. I know this one Mexican kid that has an iPad, and he just goes dumb with it, bro. It's cool. It's beautiful to see. Now what went into that recent project? Talk about the tragic moment for your laptop.
Oh yeah, shit. A lot of grief. It was actually kind of weird timing of it all because, like I said, I hadn't really been like seeing people at all. I haven't like hanging out at all. But this one time I did. I came out, and it was because like one of the homies had a show, and then I was just gonna chill at the crib, and like, yeah, I guess something happened to it there, and like shit just fucking fried. It looked like something spilled on it. I don't really know what happened to it, but the laptop fried, and at that point I had been working on this album for like a good few months, and normally I don't do that. Like I pretty much most of my discography is made, if not like within a day or two, within the
Yeah.
span of like a few months, or it's like a collection of stuff that's old that I found because I didn't really start putting out music as much until the past few years. I mean, I had like other aliases that like I did consistently, but through this one, I was really slow at first because I just didn't care about putting it out. But if you're putting a lot of time into something, you gotta find a way to make some money out of it and like make a living because it is pretty much all I do. And that's what devastated me was like losing the patches for all the sounds of the album. That shit sucked. But
Yeah.
yeah, just like the, I guess, weird fucking, not necessarily adrenaline, but it was just exciting or on edge to be around people again. And then having that laptop fry, and like I was kind of like, yeah, I hadn't drank in a while. We were drinking that night, and just cooking up in the room, in the homie's room, and like off these shitty little monitors, the like black and green ones that are like Bluetooth and wired or some shit. I forgot what they're called, but yeah, I don't know. I just like downloaded a few packs that I was familiar with and made the whole thing. And it was just like me and the two homies just lights off chilling. They was playing like Kingdom Hearts on the PS2 behind me and shit.
Nice. But that shit tested you, dude. I bet that tested you. Like, what can you do? What can you do in this moment to continue creating, and like stay like keep your integrity, keep your fucking motivation, and you said you sold a bunch of fucking beats after that with
I
that
sold
one.
that whole tape like in one sale, like I think the next day. Like that next morning I sold a few beats that I put on my story, and like it's been doing well again lately. I had to get back into it because once I got into the electronic stuff, I stopped making beats as much, so I wasn't selling as much, and then I put out some tracks that did pretty well, and that gave me, I guess, a foot in the door in some other departments. But now I'm back on the beats and shit. But with the whole, honestly, I don't know. This time it was a lot easier to handle. I've gone through this exact type of thing like 2 or 3 times at this point. The worst one was like my whole backpack got stolen out of an airport, and like I lost my social security card. I
Oh,
lost like a lot of my clothes, all my gear, my laptop, and my backup hard drive with like thousands of songs from like 2015, 16 to like then, which was like 2019 or 20, somewhere around there. 2021, actually, 2020, somewhere around there. And yeah, it was 2021. So it was like all my tracks from 2015 to 2021 was gone. And then like some of my I was like writing this book, my outline for that, my diary, all this like important shit because I was traveling with all my stuff. That one was like,
what happened to it, or you just don't know?
it just, so okay. Context, like, was not doing well. I had to take the train all the way through, I think like Seattle or some shit, to the airport, and like hadn't slept the night before. I had not been eating well. Like I kind of had some situations go down when I was there in Seattle with like money, and so like just pretty much malnourished at that point. So I'm like barely there, and I got to roll up to the airport, and they were like, "Oh, you got to pour that drink out," and I was like, "Oh yeah, true." So I go to do that. As I'm doing that, my bag just vanishes, like right there in front of me, type shit, like dead ass. I to this day don't understand because like it wasn't exactly in front of me, it was to my side, but I guess I was just so out of it, like they swooped it that quick. It was like, yeah, and then I noticed it as I was going through TSA, and I was like, wait a minute, like this isn't right. And then they were hassling me about that for a minute and just kind of like almost didn't let me go back through. I tried to hold on to my ID at one point. It was a shit situation, and I tried to file like lost and found thing, but nothing ever came from it. And I think I'm still dealing with stuff on my social security right now. I think because that was stolen, like all of my digital banks get hacked. Like I can't use them half the time, and even my like Wells Fargo account or whatever is like constantly like there'll be random charges that I'm not doing, shit like that.
How
It's
do you
crazy.
fucking like save money then?
I don't. I make enough to live, and I make some, and I send it off if like family or people need help because I got, yeah, that's a whole nother thing. Like I don't come from money at all. I don't come from anything. I moved out at like 15, turning 16, because like not doing well in there type shit. Like I love my mom. I don't got beef with my mom, but like just wasn't like a livable situation. So
Where do you
yeah,
move when you're 16? Like, how does that work?
so basically I was in a relationship at the time, and we actually stayed with one of their family members for like maybe a month, and then we pretty much like built this shed. It was like a foundation, but then we built this shed to move into, and we lived there for a little over a year or so, and then I was like 17 and just kind of bounced around. There was one point where we like lived in an Airbnb for a month in this weird ass, like, it was like this massive house in a cul-de-sac that was made just for the military to live in because it was next to this Air Force base. But there were cameras inside, so on the front door, in the kitchen, and like towards the back door, and they had sound and everything, and there were no doorknobs. It was all electronic doors, like pads. And like our dumbasses were like tripping in there and like doing drugs and shit, and just like trying to make it in a little game, being like, oh yeah, we're gonna act normal on camera, but we're like off like mad dabs and acid at the same time. It was a fun little time, but then after all that, like, we got a place. I think when I was 18 or 17, turning 18, somewhere around there. Um, 113 Mississippi, shout out, because 113 is my number, and that was the house number of the first place. Um, and that was a great time. I had a little bedroom studio for a good like a little bit over a year.
Nice.
That was the last. That was the last place I was like actually. Well, not the last place. But the last place I was on a lease back in Florida, where I'm from originally.
Oh, you're from Florida. That's wild.
Yeah.
How the fuck you get in the Pacific Northwest?
That's a long story. I've just kind of been all around for a while, and yeah, ended here for. It's all temporary, but be here for a good little bit, I think.
What's like the goal, like area? Like you don't know yet.
East Coast. I like the East Coast more, for sure. Better food and shit.
Yeah, Philly,
Like the South.
Maryland too. Like there's
Yeah, yeah.
you got Maryland if you like crabs and like seafood and shit, and then you got fucking Philly if you like Italian food or cheesesteaks or I mean a lot of good soul food there. But and then you got
Their delis are fire.
yes, definitely hoagies,
The hoagies.
hoagies.
Yeah,
Or in New
exactly.
York, I don't even need to explain New York why food's good there.
Yeah.
And then Boston, another great seafood hub, lobster and all that shit.
New Orleans got crazy ass food, bro.
Facts. Yeah.
Yeah, you got
What's in
get
Florida?
some good wings. In Atlanta, Florida, you got great seafood and actually really good Thai food. At least in the part I'm from, you got like really good Thai food in the Northwest. I'm from the Northwest Florida. I'm not from like Miami. I'm from the country.
There's nothing like pad Thai, like the noodles, like the fried noodles. They're so good.
I know. Yeah, that's my shit too.
Yeah. Fucking Delaware has this thing because I'm from Delaware where we have like those burger places made by like those dudes that like have beards, and it's like those. It's like it's just like a bunch of every restaurant in Delaware has the same shit. It has a bunch of burgers, like crab dip and shit, and like wraps. It's like this, and it's all just like mid as fuck. It's not that bad. It's really not that bad, but it's just overpriced. Like sometimes, like I don't even go to
Uh,
restaurants like that no more. Like I don't. I just like make a fucking ham sandwich or an omelet, bro. Like just the way. I remember I went to a fucking restaurant and it was like $20 for a steak and some like a cheesesteak and like fries and shit. And it's like, yo, I can make that at home for like 2 cents or some shit. You know what I'm saying?
I'd be like maybe $10 max, depending on what you get. I don't know. I'm gonna be moving soon. It'll be nice to have like a full kitchen because I love cooking. I
Yeah,
love cooking.
gets you in tune with yourself, and you can make good healthy food for yourself. But
Yeah.
so you said that you're a reader. What do you read, and what was that first kind of book as a kid you kind of were infatuated with? But what do you usually read? But then go back to like when you were a kid and stuff like that.
Yeah, nowadays, I'll go all the way back starting now. So now I'm practically reflecting and rereading a lot of stuff I was rereading in 2020. That lies, I guess, under the categories of like ideologies. I don't want to just say occultism because it's kind of broad, but you know what I mean? Like ideologies, stuff to do with the left-hand path, just writings from, I guess, clinically insane people, people that are like depressed, addicts. Um, I was really into like old religion for a minute, like really into that. That's kind of what got me into it, and actually helped me connect more with like the people over in Dark Side Money, Ghoul Trap, like Sheriff Quan, Ghouls, like all them, Odd Lord, Witch. It was kind of like because they're all like practitioners and shit. I'm not a practitioner. I just like learning and reading. But yeah, some of the stuff I was interested in aligned with some of the stuff that they are really into and like live by and shit. So yeah, it was kind of nice because most of the time the stuff I'm reading, I don't have people to talk to about it. Like I've never really been one to consider college, but low key, like sometimes I want to go when I'm a little older. That way there is just like people to talk about certain books with. But I don't know. Yeah, mostly right now, like I said, rereading stuff. I think when we called the other day, I talked about like the muse stuff,
What
and
is
that's
the
been an
muse?
ideology. Yeah, so the idea of the muse and basically the way it works is, you have it's something embedded in your existence, and so you usually hear all the layers of that explained, and like there's no set way. I think I don't know, every ideology, whatever you want to call it, every theory has its own, and they're all like, they have truth to a lot of them. But there's like the conscious self, the subconscious self. Usually people will say like the spirit, or a connection, something, a third source that connects to, I guess, your ego and also your subconscious. But that third thing in the muse ideology is the muse. And so it's similar to the way that people view uh, basically invoking deities and like letting them live through them, and in hopes that they can gain trust and understand that you're there on good terms and intentions to appreciate stuff like that. It's similar to that, but the thing is, you don't ask for it; you're born with it, and everyone has one, and everyone's different, and you don't actually always have a strong connection to it. Typically, it would work as I guess you could tie it to emotions, but the existence is much more different than like how we would experience it. But essentially, if you were to do certain things that that muse might like, um, you'll know. They'll kind of guide you, and a lot of people equate that to this like voice that guides them. A lot of artists will say the idea of what feels right, but naturally, it's really just having a good connection with their muse. And if usually someone has a muse that prefers the arts or something like that, and they end up, you know, practicing, you'll start to notice that they build a stronger connection and sense of self. Like it helps the person a lot. For me, it helped me a lot with building a sense of self and like a relationship with myself, because I feel that I'm doing it for me, and also this other thing that lives with me. So it's almost like you're doing something for someone else, but in a way, it's for you. And at the end of the day, there's no bad to it. I think it can lead you to things that might feel bad, but it's intentional. And I also believe that people should suffer. So it's kind of like, depends on how you look at it, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a beautiful thing to me, because it's a way to find peace, and it can come in many forms, in the way of sometimes you remember memories from long before that might bring you peace that you've forgotten about. You know, sometimes it's important to like think about what sparked that reaction in your mind, or your feelings, how you feel. You know, I think I think that shit's important, because usually it's like the muse. You know, it's the muse. Like, hey, this means something, and a lot of people, they get into very in good depth with communicating to the muse. They'll do the whole like having a notebook and pen set out next to your nightstand before you go to sleep.
Mm.
That way, as soon as you wake up, you sit there and you just write, and that's like the best time, because you're not really formulating opinions about your
Judgment.
thoughts, because you know your thoughts aren't really, like, obviously your thoughts aren't you. Your thoughts are gonna just flow, but you're not fully awake yet. So what you're clinging to isn't necessarily being driven by any moral compass or any belief or anything that you need to get done. And all of those thoughts that fly, obviously, maybe if you have errands that day, going to the store is going to pop up, and then you're going to choose to cling to that, and you know, start the sequence. But when you're just waking up, if you just get up and start writing, you're before that turns on, you know, you can start to understand yourself and where your brain is and stuff, and that type of thing can be helpful. But people really just do it so they can get to a close part of themselves. And yeah, that's like a general idea of it. But you know, there's a lot of, there's like, I found 3 books.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of one, but I found 3 books that talk about it, and they're not necessarily all about it, but they've referenced it. And then I've also found a lot of interviews with artists who seem, they use the word muse, and the way that they're talking about their experience is very similar to that. And it has actually referenced, I can't remember what artist, but there was an artist in one of the books that they referenced, and I was like, oh, this is kind of like silly. It's a pop reference, but like at the same time, I mean, what they said was true. Like, if I don't, if my muse grants me some sort of idea or concept and I don't hop on it, even if I'm laying in bed going to sleep, it will go to someone else.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And
That's cool.
yeah,
That's a good thought. Yeah, because I was. Do you ever think that like muses try to like pool a sort of fulfill a sort of like happiness or memory that you had when you listen to somebody else's stuff, or listen to something else, and then they try to get you to uh bring like a internal validation to what you made and like make yourself. Do you ever think like muses want you to feel happy? Like your muse makes you want you to feel happy about what you made. Like what do you think? What do you think they're trying to get out of you? You know.
I don't think it's necessarily that they're trying to get anything out of me. In my opinion, like I said, I can't speak as like the judge of this ideology. This is just from what I've learned and my opinion on it. I just need to state that. But
Yeah.
the way I see it, they didn't choose you, and they have to deal with life just like we do. So if in a way I feel that it makes me at peace to know that it enjoys whatever it is, and I think it's conditional. I think it depends on the terms and the context at hand. You know, like it's more so about what's going on in the situation and what triggered the memory. Maybe it wasn't even music. I can hug someone and have this memory pop in my head and feel at peace. I could be in some nature setting and remember something from my past. Like, you know, it comes out in many forms of life. I think like artists or anyone that it could be artists of music, it could be dancers, it could be chefs, anyone. If they happen to be interested in or show interest in that, and usually from a young age, if they do show interest in that and do continue it, it is mostly because of, like I believe, it's mostly because of the muse having a strengthened interest to that thing. Um, and that's another thing. Like I think people waste their time sometimes ignoring their muse, and that's why they feel so negative about a lot of things and like kind of get wrapped up. I've seen I don't know. I like I said, I've been around music for like 11 years now, and I've seen a lot of people like really drastically change over many different reasons. And I think
What would
like
those reasons be?
sometimes it's like blowing up. Um, sometimes it's like sorry, I gotta plug my phone in. Yeah, sometimes it's like blowing up. Sometimes it's like mostly misunderstandings drawn from assumptions. Over time, resentment building for opportunities, jealousy. I don't know. I've seen a lot of that type of stuff mostly. I've like I don't know. I've always kept my foot down with because I've definitely been used um before, but you know I definitely keep my foot down when it comes to shit and long term.
There is some sharks, you know. You
Well,
know.
yeah, especially as like a producer, I think people get a jaded perspective. Like, I'm not gonna say I'm a producer, but in when I was younger, before I ever really did vocals or anything, you know, I guess I was more of like a producer, beat maker, and like people tried to, yeah, I started being able to monetize stuff, and then this artist that I would help out, tried to ask for like 60% or some shit, 40, 60, something like that, and it was just silly to me because I produced the entire tracks, I arranged their vocals, I mixed it, and I helped them write. So it's like I'm
What
not
are you
giving
doing
you,
here? Yeah, no.
yeah. And I
Yeah,
hosted it all on my page.
like you're yeah, come on. Yeah, that's the producers it's important to kind of like seek ownership and like kind of have a firm assertive attitude towards what you made and not just kind of you know you got to be strong or else like everybody's just gonna kind of like take your beat, license it. Like I know a lot of people like they make fucking tight beats and then they like people fucking get the content ID off of the thing and it's like no, you're not allowed. You're not doing that, bro. Like fuck
Yeah,
that.
that's what I mean. Look, I'm gonna hold it though. I won't hold you. Like, that's what you get for making type beats in the first place. If you labeling your shit as type beats, like, I don't know what to
Yeah,
tell you. I don't know what to tell
yeah.
you.
I removed all that. Like I used to do that shit. Like I used to just like no. Like I've gotten to the point where it's like I just give them to my friends. Like like or people I'm cool with and you know fuck. I don't know. I used to early on you kind of have to do the type beat thing. But eventually, but I don't know. I just don't do that shit anymore.
Depends what you started. It depends what you started for sure. Like, I think I don't know. I never did it because I was chasing like a signature sound, and like now I got it to where people sometimes can tell it's me off hearing it type shit. That's kind of what I was going for, you know. Because the thing is, you start out as type B producer and you're getting even more pushed into a producer box. And like, I ain't a producer, I'm an artist. You know what I mean? Like, I've made experiences. Like, there's stuff I've done live that like, I guess people just wouldn't even have expected from my sound because I'm an artist. It's not all about like making just like a handful of different types of sounds, you know?
Yeah. Like 16 bar, then
Yeah, no.
hook, verse,
Yeah,
whatever
I
the
don't have a
fuck.
formula. I don't even arrange tracks right now. Like I'll have the loops with all the like I won't do any arrangement. I'll just have a bunch of loops and I'll turn on Edison and then like a sampler and just record everything and then like with my mouse just mute different things and arrange it as if it's, yeah, just like recording it basically like it's a band view. And then I automate stuff as it's going, like filters, reverb, whatever color effects I want.
You're in touch with
I'll
your
try to get a
muse.
try to
When
get
you're
a
doing
gear
that.
or like piece of gear for that, make it easier. Like a little mixer with sliders and shit. But in the process of that, probably the next few months, I don't know.
Gotta save the banca. Gotta
Gotta
save the
move.
money.
Gotta move for real.
Is it pricey over there? Or no?
I was just in the Bay and that was fucked up. So
I bet that was horrible.
yeah,
Bet
I
it
had
was
to get
super
out of there.
expensive.
It was terrible. I was trying to get out for a while, to be honest, because yeah, it's just so expensive. Like I don't know, you really got to be like. The thing is, I had a paper job for a while. I got to the point to where I almost got in many fights with customers. And I would just be losing my mind on the sales floor. I don't know. I've been working paper jobs since I was like 14, and
What's
I'm
that?
tired of
What's
it.
paper jobs?
Paper jobs, just like ones you gotta file taxes for, not like because I also did like random, like bartending a wedding. Like I get cash, like side jobs, like there's stuff like that. But then there's like a 9 to 5, where it's like that's a paper job type shit.
Oh, I think you meant like you worked for the newspaper.
Oh no, my bad. Yeah, not like just a paper job that's like on federal papers.
Yeah.
Um, I did that for a while. I can't stand the people in the Bay, so I was losing my mind, and then switched to just running beats and commissions. And the thing is, like everybody else's economy is not the Bay Area economy. So, and I've never like when I was 15, 16, I was charging like normal prices, like $100 for a beat type shit. But I don't do that anymore. I just want to make shit accessible. Um, that's kind of where I've been. So trying to balance that and like actually making a living off of it in the Bay was impossible. Um, but yeah, it's gonna
That's
be all
important.
good though.
The accessibility of your product. Like I don't like the people that gatekeep, or I mean, even with businesses, they like make you fucking email them like before you even know their prices. Like this is like completely unrelated to making beats, but still so similar. It's like I don't know if you ever been like a website that offers a service and they make you email them for the prices, and the prices end up being so expensive, which is why they had you email them in the first place, because they knew if they put it on their website to show everybody, nobody would fucking buy it. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, or
then
even consider. Yeah.
yeah, but then since you emailed them, you're already like past, like you're already kind of considering it. So it's like this weird psychological mind game. But when you just kind of post it for a reasonable price and it's already out there, like similar to what you do, it's just way easier to find like client base, customer base, whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Yeah, and like people like fuck with it, because you're not like that's the thing I was doing. What was really helping when I lived in the Bay was doing sessions. So I was like getting in Discord and having Parsec open, which is basically a program that lets you take control of someone else's computer and mouse and keyboard. And like I just hop in there and like teach them stuff. And that was really helping for a while, but um I don't know. I think like accessibility has always been important, and like even in those sessions, I still would give them all the project files, and like even to this day, on my SoulSeek, you can download all the sample packs and all the samples that I've made slash collected, actively just from my SoulSeek. Like
Put me
I don't
on.
know, I
What's
don't care.
SoulSeek again?
SoulSeek is basically just like a peer-to-peer file sharing system. It works. Imagine like a Google Drive folder, like a massive one, or like a Dropbox folder where people can just drop shit in and there's like a whole user base thing and chat rooms. But yeah, the whole idea is like in order to be able to download stuff, you need to share. So you also have to share your files, and then people will share with you.
Sharing is caring.
And then there's a whole like search engine that's really good. It's like keyword based. You can find like everything. I mean, I'm on there. People archive like all sorts of artists, and there's also like books and like videos. I think games, shit like that.
I can find that my 808 funk drift cowbell drum kits. Yay!
Exactly. Like anything you want, type shit. Anything you want.
Yeah. New jerk drum kit. I don't even know what fucking jerk is. Yeah.
Jerk was like the swag era. I knew about it because I was in dance at the time. I was really in dance, and yeah, it's just like the swag era music, you know, like New Boys and shit. And then hella celebrities got onto it, and I think it like honestly kind of came back the same time Jersey was like getting popular, like the twerk music, because it's got the same like dance ability.
Like I'm from fucking, you know what I'm saying? I always had these Philly kids come to my crib, like when I was like a kid, and they would show me like hit it to the beat, hit it to the beat, hit it to the beat, pop, pop.
Yeah,
like that shit was fucking so.
I was really into that.
I love that Jersey club shit because everybody from Philly or Delaware goes to Jersey for the summer. I mean, Delaware people kind of go to Delaware for the summer, you know what I'm saying? But most of like if you're in northern Delaware, you know, you go to Jersey. But if you're like kind of below, you know what I'm saying, certain parts you go to Delaware. But when you go to Wildwood or fucking Atlantic City, that's all you're fucking hearing, like at the boardwalk or fucking whatever. He's like the same fucking drum part.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's that same like rhythm is synonymous in a lot of sounds too. Like even in Florida, we had our own shit with that for like years now. Like that type of club feel, and like you know, Detroit had theirs too. Chicago,
Baltimore
got that.
Apparently has some shit like that. I don't even know.
Yeah, it's all influenced from like very similar shit.
Yeah, it's a whole interesting. Like a lot of the shit, people kind of like it's that whole thing we were talking about earlier. Like it intertwines. Like the Baltimore people claim that like they started what was, you know, everybody claims it, but it's just I kind of come up with the thing where it's like civilization, like people think civilization started at multiple different places at the same time, and it's just because like humans kind of tap into a certain you know, melody or frequency just based on how they're feeling, and sometimes it does kind of happen to be the same thing as what other people are doing in a different place.
Yeah, people are like pretty similar, but also like vastly different. But I mean, we can all get to similar answers and shit, similar sounds, whatever it is.
From different places and different experiences, but I don't know. That just makes stuff more interesting, stuff like that. But yeah. So talk about that CD release with the Full Metal Records. How did that come about?
Oh yeah, that shit was funny. They hit me up a good minute ago to do tapes. We were gonna do tapes for a different project I was working on, but something happened to those files, and I just like gave up. So finally, like this came out, and I was like, "Yo, we should just do this instead." And then I went on Kunaki and just like made a draft thing, and sent it to them, and then they just like finished it. And yeah, no, they're gonna send me a good portion of them, so I'm gonna sell them at shows, and you know, give a couple to my friends, the people that were on it. I have like I guess so. There's three features. There's Crook, my homie Mino Wave, and then Sheriff from DSM. But I don't really talk to Crook or anything, so you know, I don't know if he wants one, he can have one. But I don't even know if he knows about the shit came out because I got the melodies like when he sent them. He sent them like I don't even know, maybe a year or two ago, a while ago.
He's hard to contact sometimes. Like sometimes I just forget whatever his account is or whatever, and then his email. Like I think he has a Discord. I think I forget.
Yeah, he's just never really on shit.
Yeah, like he'll just pop up and be like, "I'm selling beats," and then everybody's like, "Oh my god, Crook selling beats, Crook selling beats."
Yep.
And then he just disappears for a couple months.
That's how I'm trying to be for real. That's really like the goal. I don't want to have to promote shit. Like as soon as I don't have to promote shit anymore, I'm not going to be online as much for sure.
Yeah, that's
the only reason I'm on here.
The ambiguity. Oh, let me find it.
Oh no, I didn't like always have the internet growing up, so I'm not as attached. Like I like the internet and I learned a lot from it, but I like real life a lot too. And like I don't know,
Yeah, that's why
I
I'm
don't want
trying
to keep up and
to.
all that shit.
Trying to do a live podcast in like real life, like at a record store. Like, I mean, I love doing this. Of course, like speaking with you is awesome. But sometimes it's like like let's get the community interacting and shit like that. Like like real life is like
Yeah,
important.
that's one thing I want to see like more of, and I've been talking with a lot of people. Is like I think everyone's gotten really used to just working through emails and like linking up sometimes. But I think I've been trying to. I have a crazy ass idea actually, because I've found a way to finesse Airbnb credit for free and get like build it up over time type shit. So what I'm gonna do, and okay, I haven't really talked about this at all, but this is new massive plan. But basically, I'm gonna be running this like I don't want to call it a camp because it's gonna be an Airbnb and it'll be like probably somewhere in the mountains or like in the wooded rural area.
Yes.
But I want to get like a select 6 or 7 artists slash music people, whatever, and I want to bring them up there and give them Walmart phones that only have YouTube and a web browser, and they're not allowed to use social media. And I bring all their groceries. I have people deliver groceries and like snacks, and like they don't leave. They can like go in the woods and walk around, obviously, but they don't leave. And like we're not sitting there only making individual songs, but there's like recording sessions, and then I'm gonna have like a couple tables with a few DAWs up and like gear. I'm gonna have friends supply gear because they have a lot, but basically just like see what comes from that for like a month, no time off. And after that, that'll kind of be a demo, and then the official launch thing, whatever, will be 3 months with like maybe 1 day off, like per month. Um, and that one will be a little more intense, but I'm gonna see how this one goes before I talk about more of the official one. Get an
Would it be like
idea.
somebody pays to get in it, or is it just like you're only invite only, just like for
Yeah,
the
for the
love of
first
it?
So the first one will be invite only. All I'll say about the second one is that yeah, there will be like submissions. People can submit like a form or whatever. I'll probably do a Google form for it.
Yeah.
Have people audition or something. It's not going to be filmed or anything either. It's just like I think I want the experience of like people actually being forced to sit together and like live together and work on stuff and like I don't know, because that stuff doesn't happen as much anymore. Anyone can just put the FL or Ableton on their laptop, and like people don't have to go to the studio as much. I mean, people still do, but it's not as prevalent in like a lot of communities. People don't like. I don't know. I love watching old studio sessions and seeing like full orchestras and musicians come in and like get directed by the producers. Like I want to be directing people to like play certain notes for me, and then like get a vocalist involved, and like
Yeah.
that really that having that strictly work relationship is in that type of setting I think is really important.
Yeah. I was just invited like to start popping out to this one dude's studio sessions, like just not even for no fucking reason, just basically just to hang out and fucking listen. Like that's what I love. That's what I love when somebody was like, yeah, like I'm over here, I'm doing a couple like features for my friend. You want to just pop out and listen, give your 2 cents and shit, just hang out. That's what I love. That's kind of what makes me want to keep. I'm doing
I
this
like when
shit.
people are involved. I will say like I've seen a lot of sessions where like people are just there and it's like what the fuck are you even doing here, but I like when people are like feeling the shit and like yeah actually being involved if it's warranted and stuff like that. Like
Oh,
it's
I say
definitely
yeah.
like
I'm
I
always saying shit. I'm like, oh, yo, fuck that shit. Like I'm saying, like I'm
yeah
having a
just
good
like
time. We're having a good time, yo.
yeah being present. I think it's like when everyone's present in the room on one thing, that's when magic's happening for sure.
That's facts, yo. What plans do you have for your music coming forward in general releases? Anything that you could talk about or announcements before we wrap this up?
Yeah, there should be a pretty big album coming, at least by the end of the year, because I'm gonna recover all those sounds. Plenty of tapes coming throughout the next year. I'm gonna be playing more live shows throughout the East Coast. I plan to be over there more. Um, expect a lot more from Armada Springs too. The whole team got a lot of shit coming on their own, and also as a group, we have some comps coming out and some other stuff, cool stuff being made. Some more live shows through Armada coming out soon. But yeah, just expect more music as always. Never gonna stop.
Never gonna stop. Fuck yeah. Thank you, man, for coming on the show. And listeners, be sure to check out links in the description to his music and like, comment, share, subscribe. And again, thank you for popping out.